So, if you had a choice, what story would you live into? I mean, that's the appeal of so many of the stories that are popular today, right? From Pride and Prejudice to Princess Bride to the Harry Potter series, is they create a world, a story that we can lose ourselves in if just for a little bit. But what if we could actually choose what story we were going to live our lives through? What story would you choose? Hi, I'm Randy Lovejoy, founder and CEO of randylovejoy.com, a virtual platform that exists for the sole purpose of helping you to create more good in your life, your relationships, and your community. It strikes me that in this time that we're in right now, we're all a little bit fried and frazzled and frustrated because we've been forced to live into a story that was nothing of our own making. This whole pandemic is something we wouldn't have chosen to be a part of, and yet there we are. But then once we've kind of adapted to it and started to get used to it, maybe a little bit, whether that's healthy or not, now we're being pushed back out of it and forced out of that life that we've created over the past year into something new. But the silver lining of all of this is that we have an opportunity that not everybody really has, but an opportunity to choose which story it is we are going to live out of in this post-pandemic period. And that's what we're going to focus on in this video. Here's what I'd like to do. I'd like for you to get a cup of coffee. I'd like for you to get a comfortable chair, get situated, and then just let me tell you an ancient story that has inspired artists and musicians and just everyday people like you and me to live their lives according to this story. It's a story that really offers us two different ways in which we can live our lives in this pre-pandemic period. So, are you ready? If you're ready, let's do it. Now, I have brought for this occasion a very cool Jerusalem Bible. And what makes this cool is not just that it's huge and red and has this awesome gold color on the outside of the pages. What makes this really so very cool is that this Bible has been illustrated by none other than Salvador Dali. Let me see if I can show you something that Salvador Dali illustrated for this. We won't talk about this, but like here's one of the illustrations in this Bible. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff, isn't it? So it's within this Bible that there is this story that Jesus told, a story which really gives us two opportunities, two different stories, two different ways that we can live our lives. So if you're ready and situated and comfortable, here we go. Jesus also said, "A man had 2 sons. The younger said to his father, 'Father, let me have the share of the estate that would come to me.' So the father divided the property between them. A few days later, the younger son got together everything he had and left for a distant country where he squandered his money on a life of debauchery. When he had spent it all, that country experienced a severe famine. And now he began to feel the pinch. So he hired himself out to one of the local inhabitants who put him on his farm to feed the pigs. And he would willingly have filled his belly with the husks the pigs were eating, but no one offered him anything. Then he came to his senses, and he said, 'How many of my father's paid servants have more food than they want, and here am I dying of hunger? I will leave this place and go to my father and say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as one of your paid servants.' So he left the place and went back to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him, and moved with pity, he ran to the boy, clapped him in his arms, and kissed him tenderly. Then his son said, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring out the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the calf we have been fattening and kill it. We are going to have a feast, a celebration, because this son of mine was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and is found." And they began to celebrate. Now the elder son was out in the field, and on his way back, as he drew near to the house, he could hear music and dancing. Calling one of the servants, he asked what it was all about. "Your brother has come," replied the servant, "and your father has killed the fattened calf because he came back safe and sound." The older brother was angry then and refused to go in, and his father came out to plead with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I have slaved for you, and you never once disobeyed your order. Yet you never offered me so much as a young goat for me to celebrate with my friends. But for this son of yours, when he comes back after swallowing up your property, he and his women, you kill the calf we had been fattening." The father said, "My son, you are with me always, and all I have is yours. But it was only right we should celebrate and rejoice, because your brother here was dead and has come to life. He was lost and is found." Now, this story that Jesus told offers us two possibilities, two different ways that we can live our lives, a different role that we can decide to take on in this story. Do we want to take on our post-pandemic life with the attitude and approach to life of the older son? Or do we want to take on life as the younger son? Jesus told this story in such a way that those of us that read it, even thousands of years later, have a choice to make. So which is it? Which way will you choose to live? And if you're still uncertain about what that means, think of it this way. Which way of life, the older son or the younger son, would you default to in our post-pandemic life if you didn't make any choice? Now, if you want to work on this further, I'd urge you to check out the blog post on our website, randylovejoy.com. The blog post is entitled Prodigal, and it speaks about another way that I use this story in my life, and it talks about a list of different artists and musicians who have used this story or found inspiration in this story in their life and in their work. While you're there, I'd encourage you, if you haven't already, to sign up for our weekly newsletter that will give you different content to help you to continue to figure out how you're going to live in this post-pandemic period. And if you have any friends that you think would get into this as well, send them to the website. There they can sign up for that newsletter as well. But for now, just continue to sit with this story, this ancient story over 2,000 years old. And make that decision. Which way of life are you going to live in this post-pandemic period? I hope we all choose daily to live life like that younger son, with the gratitude and the thankfulness of the blessings that we have around us. But we do have to make a choice, and that choice is yours. I hope you have a great week this week.